and welcome to Flames Food and Fun. I'm your host, Travel Chef Chuck, and today we're going to be making a keto meatloaf. Alright, so the first part of the process in making a keto meatloaf is we're going to saute some onions, some minced garlic, and some thyme. So to start out with is I'm going to use some beef tallow. Now I made this beef tallow from a brisket that I trimmed down, and then I made the beef tallow from. So we add the beef tallow, and then we're going to add the onions, and then we'll go over and we'll saute these. Now for this recipe, what we like to do is to use about a whole onion. So we're going to use a whole onion here, and we're going to saute them so they have a browning on them. They're crisped up a little bit, so it adds a little bit of flavor, and it's really going to add to the flavor of the meatloaf. We can't add the garlic or the thyme yet, or they're going to burn. So we're going to start here with actually cooking down the onions. So we'll start with the onions. They softened up and they browned. Then we're going to add our garlic and our thyme. Now that our onions, our sauteed onions, our garlic and thyme has kind of cooled off a little bit, it's time to assemble this keto meatloaf. So we're going to start with, as you can see, this is grass-fed beef, and it's 85% lean, and we're going to use 2 pounds of the grass-fed beef. This is really good for you. I also have some heirloom pork here. I got a pound of heirloom pork. It's about 80-20. So we're going to put the onions and the garlic and the thyme in here. They've sufficiently cooled. You can put them in, I guess, when they're hotter, but I like them to be cool. It's a little easier to work with on that. So you see there's a lot here, and it's going to bring some moisture to that. So that's kind of important. I like the onions. Now you can also put in other things. You could saute some very small, finely chopped carrots, or peppers, red peppers, yellow peppers, green peppers, whatever it is that you like. In my case, I chopped the onions finely and the garlic and all that. Now I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of ketchup. Now I'm really using that not because I want a ketchup flavor, but I want a little acid in there, and I want some tomato, so that's a really good thing to put in there. Like some organic ketchup. And what that's going to do is bring a little acid into it. Now here are the key ingredients to make it keto. I've got 2 tablespoons, and they're not level, so 2 tablespoons of almond flour, and then the key is 1 tablespoon of coconut flour. Now, the reason you put coconut in, it's not going to change the taste. You're not going to have that coconut flavor. But one of the things that coconut does that almond flour does not do is it absorbs moisture. So it's going to keep it in there. So having that coconut flour, in order to get that moisture, you need to have the coconut flour in there as well. And then we're going to add 2 eggs. These are just some organic pasture-raised eggs. And now we're going to use a fork to do this. We don't want to use our hands and overwork it. For people with different types of dietary restrictions, this is going to be a pretty good recipe because it's keto. It doesn't use any, kind of oils, that are not good for you, like a canola or something like that, seed oil. All right. So what we're going to do, you can see we're kind of forming it into a loaf a little bit in here. Get all the ingredients off the side of the bowl. And then we're going to form it into a loaf. Now, you can use any kind of sheet pan here. It should have a lip on it. We're going to need that later because we're going to want to make the gravy. But I'm going to use a small one here because I want the loaf to be such that I can also use it later for sandwiches. So I like to keep my loaves, about sandwich size so I can cut off some slices. So now what we got to do is take out all you can see where there's, cracks and stuff like that. You want to form it into a nice loaf. Now, what we want to do is put this in the oven for a couple of hours. If we want to reshape it as it gets colder, that's going to, so that's a nice loaf right there. We may reshape it slightly, make it a little taller, but here it is now. in its raw form. We're going to put that in the refrigerator here. And now we've got it. Welcome back, folks. We've had the meatloaf in the refrigerator for a couple hours. As you can see, you know, it's nice and firm. We want to make it, you know, if it's got any cracks or anything, you want to fix those now. As you can see, I can shape it a little bit better because it is cold and it'll look like a normal one. I'm going to put a little oil on here just to make sure that it browns up nicely in the oven. And then we're going to put that in. This is about a little over 3 pounds, remember, because we got the onions and the other things in it. So it's going to take right about an hour. I've got it in a convection oven for about 300 and 375. And we'll check it in about 45 minutes and see how it's doing. The meatloaf's been in the oven for just about an hour, and so it's ready to go. And so we're going to take it out. I turned off the oven while I was working on some other things and just kind of let it cool off. Turned out beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. You can see beautiful looking meatloaf there. It did spread a little bit. That can happen sometimes. What I like to do is I use 2 spatulas to get this out. And sure, now this is ceramic, so it's not going to stick. So we're going to be in good shape there. This is going to allow us to take the meatloaf out, not have any breakage, and kind of let that cool. All right, folks, so everything is done right now, and so we're going to complete it all together. We've got the meatloaf came out perfect. I'm going to cut a slice here, and then we're going to put the gravy on. See, if you're having people over, you can always serve this with a little sprig of thyme off to the side. You're going to have the thyme flavor in there. And there you go. That is our final dish. So, thank you for joining us today. We made a keto meatloaf, and so I hope you really liked this episode. If you did, please subscribe, hit like, and let us know what other dishes you'd like us to make and where you'd like us to go and what kind of restaurants you'd like us to visit. So for now, bon appetit.